The president, though, already is getting a lot of pushback from members of Congress on this. Do you think this deal that you helped negotiate in Atlanta is going to survive next year in Congress?
Well, I do. This is a very good deal. It levels the playing field for American workers and American firms. Right now, we already have an open economy. Our average tariff is about 1.4%. 80% of the goods that come into our country from TPP countries already comes in duty-free. But we face tariffs of 70% on our auto exports, 55% on our engines, 50% on machinery, and all of those are going to go to zero. So it's about protecting American jobs here by tearing down barriers abroad, increasing exports, supporting good, well-paying jobs here, and then leveling the playing field by raising labor and environmental standards in other countries so that our workers and our firms based here in the United States have a more fair chance of competing in the global economy.
But could you have done a better job, though, Michael, in telling this to the American public? Because it's not just the NBC poll that says this, but a Pew Center poll last year had the same results. A YouGov poll earlier this summer also showed the same results, and that Americans do not want more trade.
Well, usually when we talk to the American public and explain how we're tearing down barriers abroad, creating more opportunities for high-quality American exports, and that's going to drive more jobs and higher wages here in the United States, they'll be supportive. And we're looking forward to the agreement being published, having everyone have an opportunity to read it in detail and then make an informed decision about their perspective on it. We'll be consulting with Congress, with the public, with stakeholders, and going around the country and underscoring the benefits for every state and every sector.
Bernie Sanders said this about the agreement, quote, "Wall Street and other big corporations have won again. It is time for the rest of us to stop letting multinational corporations rig the system to pad their profits at our expense."
Well, I don't have a license to practice presidential politics. All I'll say is that this is a very good agreement for American workers, farmers, ranchers. As I said, we live in an open economy here. We're tearing down barriers to our exports abroad. We're raising standards abroad in terms of labor and environment, intellectual property and other standards, and that can only benefit the American worker and the American public.
Okay, so you may not want to talk presidential politics, but let's talk about the history of free trade here. NAFTA is looked as a shining example of how free trade hasn't worked. It has, according to some reports, shown a loss of American jobs. It wasn't executed well, and this is partly the reason why these polls show that Americans don't want another free trade agreement.
Well, when President Obama was running for president, candidate Obama was running for president, he said he wanted to renegotiate NAFTA. And he talked about making labor and environmental standards core to a trade agreement and making them fully enforceable. And that's exactly what TPP does. TPP is the renegotiation of NAFTA, but not just with Mexico and Canada, but with 40% of the global economy who will now have to have higher standards fully enforceable through this trade agreement.